Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. It is going to be an absolutely awesome show tonight. You're tuning in to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, episode 65. My name is Tonci Prusak, and joining me as he does week in, week out, the man, the legend, and he's very bleary-eyed as well, Mr. Steve Curtin. Steve, good evening, and how are you?
Yeah, I think you've described it pretty well there, Tonci. Pretty tired at the moment at the start of the week. So I can't see that changing anytime soon because there's a lot of football happening both locally and, of course, on the continent that is Europe, and South America as well, of course, with the Copa. But, yeah, it's all happening, mates, and we're just doing our best. And thank you for joining us tonight, everyone, and a happy winter solstice to you. I hope you're keeping warm wherever you're watching tonight.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's the winter.
And how are you doing, Tonci?
Well, mate, now that you've just said it's the winter solstice, I'm very excited because that can only mean one thing: the days start to get that little bit longer.
That's right. And if you're out early in the morning, like someone of your caliber may be, that could be quite a good thing to keep your morale up.
Absolutely. But you know what I'd really love is that there's not enough hours in the day. So if we can add an extra hour to make it a 25-hour day, we might be able to fit everything that we want to fit in. But mate, it's an absolute pleasure. It was great to have your company on last night's Football Out West show, along with our friend Craig Filer, and Craig is on the training track tonight as we speak, and there is possibly talk he may have some information for us by the show's end, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. Huge show this tonight is. Steve, what have we got coming up?
Yeah, we've got a lot of news headlines. We thought we had very little, but now we've actually got we've got quite a lot now, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So news desk is going to be chockers tonight, folks. Don't go away.
And we've got results to talk about, and we've got some very special guests, and we've got a very special guest, a very inspirational young woman from the Geelong region, footballer. Her name's Liana Whitehand, and she's going to be joining us. And that interview is not to be missed, as that's fair to say. Also, Armstrong United's Sarah SHELDON will be joining us, and they had their first win.
Yeah, apparently it's their first ever win, the women's team. Now, not including forfeits in the past and whatnot, but this is their first win, and they're only a young side in many ways, and a young club as well, Geelong's youngest club. So, look, that's going to be coming on a little later on in the show, and we may also have a mystery guest who's going to make a major announcement, all tied in with what's happening tonight. But and we cannot forget the man who has brought us this rather inspirational and very, very emotional tale of a young footballer who is going through a tough time at the moment. As you mentioned about Liana, she'll be joining us later on, and so too will her former coach, a man very well known to local football circles, Simon Blanche. He'll be joining us a little later on to talk about this. Look, I cannot guarantee that I'm not going to break down tonight. I think this is going to be a very emotionally charged episode, but as you said, Steve, I think it's also going to be a very inspirational one. So, folks, don't go away. It's going to be a huge show. And, mate, let's get started with the news headlines. Tell us what is going on in the world of news.
Yeah, well, it's good to talk news here on the winter solstice, the 21st of June, 2021. A bit of symmetry about that date.
Yeah.
We'll start with the fixture coming up tomorrow night in the region. We've got the NPL's Galacticos that play there at Avenger Park in Brunswick, Avondale. They're travelling down. There it is on your screen there. They're travelling down to play the North Geelong Warriors at Alco Park on pitch 2. So that's interesting as well. That's been a big talking point over recent times. And that match, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So as far as I understand, if you're living in a regional area, you can go along and catch that game. If you are not, well, you cannot attend, unfortunately. But there might be some news about another way to watch it, if that is the case for you.
Yeah, as we said, Steve, we are expecting some late-breaking news, and all the late-breaking news happens. Just so happens that it gets announced around about this time every Monday. But look, we're just holding our fingers crossed that something good will eventuate out of this. But as per the Victorian government restrictions and FV guidelines, Metro Melbourne residents are not permitted to travel to regional Victoria as spectators. Regional Victoria residents permitted. Identification will be checked upon entry. Metro Melbourne residents only permitted in Regional Victoria if they are essential to running the football activity. That means technical staff, players and match officials listed on the match sheet. QR codes will be there, and all attendees are required to sign in, and there will be restrictions for the canteen bar and the change rooms as well. So that's 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. Should be a very interesting one, Steve.
Do you think that means the canteen will be shut, or will people be able to pick up a Javapi roll from the canteen and wander over to pitch 2, do you think?
Hard to say, mate, because the last time the Warriors had an FFA Cup game midweek at Elko Park, that was against, I think it was Keilor Park, the State League 1 side. Yep. The kitchen was not open. The bar was, yes, but the kitchen, no. So
well, maybe if anyone in the comments can, if anyone knows who's watching, can pop that in the comments, and people can plan their evening tomorrow night if they're heading out there, where they need to eat dinner before or save up for when they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving along. Let's go. What else is happening?
All right, we'll just run through the list. A bit of a signing alert there for the local A-League side of the region. Western United signing Brisbane Roar's Dylan Wenzel Halls. There he is there, the young striker there. Ollie Roo contention he has been during the season. He has dropped off a little bit in the second half of the season, but with the attack last season that was led by Bessart Barisha, there's a bit of an option there for some younger and fresher legs, and Wenzel Halls can maybe offer a different dimension in attack to what Western United has had on offer last season, Tonci.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I mean, he's only 23. He's got lots of potential. He had some good moments, had some poor moments this year gone by. But look, with an aging attacking squad there at Western United, with Bessart Barisha, obviously, Diamanti, obviously we know the Andrew Duranty has retired officially. So look, they have to get some of these younger players. I don't know about Wenzel Halls. He's very inconsistent. Yeah, he's got potential. There's no doubt about that. Is he the best of what is out there at the moment? That I don't know. I tend to think that there's better talent in the NPL pool at the moment, but. For some, if you are a Western United supporter and you're listening to us, in the comments section, tell us what you think. Don't worry about what we think. We want to know what you guys think. So, can't be a bad thing, I think.
Well, he says he's looking forward to working alongside Sanchez and Diamanti. So that makes me think that obviously those two were described as players who will be staying on. To lure him to come down if that's the discussion. So that will be good news if they can keep those two experienced players in the squad next season for a bit of continuity after all these retirements and Mark Rudan's departure. Yeah,
now while we're on the subject of the A-League, the other Melbourne team that has done extremely well this year, or the one Melbourne team that has done extremely well this year, Melbourne City into the grand final against Sydney FC. Bit of deja vu from last year. Has there been any news as to where it is going to be held, Steve?
No, it's still too soon to call, and obviously there's implications there with the crowd situation. We are hearing that the AFL is expected to allow crowds of 30% capacity into their grounds this week, and that's not confirmed, but we believe that's the case, which would mean around 10,000 would be allowed into Amy Park, which should justify the game could go ahead at Amy Park. It would be good if it could be perhaps 50%. And obviously Sydney, they're always looking to take the games off Melbourne, as we saw last week. They've got their own issues with COVID cases at the moment up there as well, haven't they?
I was going to say, mate, like, here we are, like a few days later. What a difference it makes! Like it's just amazing.
It's like it's been flipped on its head almost.
Exactly. Now, sort of Victoria is the safe place. New South Wales is not the safe place, or supposedly. They still haven't shut down. They haven't still locked down the whole state of New South Wales, and they're unlikely to do that. Yeah. But Victoria now seems to be the safer option, and so you'd expect not only are games going to be held in Melbourne, but they're going to have a good crowd. I mean, I'm hearing the Trans-Tasman bubble has been lifted. Victorians will be allowed to Tasmania as of tomorrow. So all in all, you think that, now they can sort of start to give a decent crowd. Well, if the AFL could get really, really good crowds, I'm sure the A-League Grand Final, they can at least have 50%. The only problem there, Steve, is if they have 50%, Amy Park, what would that be, about 16, 17,000?
Yeah, that's right. I think that would be an absolute most that they'd have that many.
Yeah.
There is also the option made as well that it could be pushed back on a further week, which is not something that they've ruled out yet. And that would also allow the likes of Jamie McLaren to finish his quarantine period and come back into the team. So that would be a huge boost, although a weird feeling waiting like 14 days or what would it be 13 days in between their semi and the grand final.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very weird. But the question I was going to pose
is... times we live in, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. But the question I was going to pose is if they do go 50% cap, so in other words, 16, 17,000, does actually Melbourne City have that many supporters to fill the stadium, even if it's half full?
Obviously,
so maybe
grand final
times,
people come out at the grand final time that are fair weather and what have you to see the game, and perhaps just a few football neutrals would go to see it. But you're right, you make a very good point. Interestingly, with the semi-final, they got moved to up to Kogarah last night as well. Yeah. Not a lot of explanation took place there. Fortunately, Greg O'Rourke, the chairman, spoke a little bit about it on TV last night, so we appreciate that transparency. But I think we were sitting here in Geelong, and perhaps our friends up in Ballarat were thinking, well, we could have hosted that game with a crowd similar to what the Cats did on Friday night, and City wouldn't have had to have surrendered their home state advantage at least.
Well, in the end, it didn't matter. They got through, so that's the good thing. But they really would be hard done by if they weren't able to host it in their hometown and B, get some sort of a crowd as well. But absolutely. All right, moving along. Right. Yeah, what else is happening in the news world?
Well, since we last went to air, and it has been 2 weeks since we last recorded our Geelong Region Soccer Show, North Geelong President John Diddlitzer has landed the role of Director of Football at Melbourne Victory. So Victory, I keep saying this, they have been a basket case off the field for a little while now, but you just feel they're getting it together. They've got Popper to come in as the manager now, and now JD's got the gig there, and he's got such good experience as the chief executive at the PFA. He's previously been a football director at Melbourne Heart, and of course he's the president of North Geelong Warriors. Well, he starts this new role, I believe, on July 1, and sources tell me that he will no longer be able to continue his role at North Geelong, and they'll be looking for a new president.
Yeah, interesting times ahead. Well, that'll split the Diddlitzer household, won't it? I know his mum Mary's a big Melbourne City fan. Very big.
Could be a controversial dinner or two coming up there.
Joey Diddlitzer has been involved with Melbourne City himself. So interesting times ahead. Not just for the Diddlitzer household, but indeed the soccer community, the football community here in Geelong. And speaking of the Geelong football community, it really is shaping up, or it really is. The discussion around a major stadium is really starting to gather force. We've seen it in the Geelong Advertiser. We've talked about it till the cows have come home on our show as well. Soccer Scene, a football portal that's based in Melbourne. They've done an extensive interview with both Eddie Contel and Kylie Grisbeck. And now the Times News Group, the publishers of the Geelong Times, Armstrong Creek Times, Surf Coast Times, and a few other Times as well. They've also jumped on board over the weekend with a discussion piece by, I think the guy's name is James Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, talking about a soccer stadium for Geelong, and it's still in play, Steve. All talk, but now we need action, hey?
Yeah, that's right. And he makes a good point in the article there that there's a real gap in the market for a whole number of fixtures. And we're seeing, of course, one of these is what's taking place tomorrow night is the situation with North Geelong Warriors having to play their FFA Cup game, which could be should be at an A-level venue somewhere, perhaps in town, and not the case, but also things like the upcoming Women's World Cup. We should be hosting a team right here in Geelong, I think. And, who knows? National Second Division coming along. We need a venue for that. We need a venue if West United wanted to play more games down here, and we need a venue that's also capable of hosting those carnivals with several pitches in one place, as we see at Ballarat, we see in Bendigo, we see in Shepparton, and we don't see it in Geelong yet. And it's time, and the wheels are turning, the wheels are in motion. You feel like now we need to keep the momentum going. So everyone involved in that, keep up the good work, and let's make it happen.
There we go. And finally, last but not least, talk of the rescheduled rounds that were missed due to the enforced lockdown. Football Victoria has come out with some information regarding that, Steve.
Yeah, we believe that while the juniors have already been able to catch up in the Geelong region, they caught up on the Queen's birthday weekend where they would have been off doing the country championships for those who were selected. They played their only round that they missed, so they're all good. The local league seniors, it looks like they're going to play their round 7 fixtures that were postponed. They're going to be rescheduled for a couple of weeks' time in middle of the school holidays, the weekend of 3rd and 4th of July, while the round 8 was the other round that was missed, and that will be played on what would be a catch-up round on the weekend of the 14th and 15th of August. With the NPL 2 and NPL 3 sides we've got here in Geelong, we understand that the round 10 matches that were missed are going to be played on Saturday, the 14th of August, and the round 11 matches that were missed will be played on Saturday, September 11. And because that's round 11 being played straight after round 22, it will mean that those teams will play each other twice in a row.
Oh, gosh, there you go.
It's like a cup tie to finish the season.
Bit of a home and away leg type thing.
Well,
yeah,
it could be
exactly.
an interesting finish to NPL 2 and NPL 3 if that's the case. State League, I don't have the information to hand yet, so I'm sure if Brenton Ray's in the comments, he might know something that we don't. But that's the update on those rescheduled fixtures. So the fixtures will go ahead, and we're hearing not that it relates to the Geelong region as much, but the top flight NPL season might be pushed out with the finals taking place a little bit later, as we heard from Brenton last night.
Maybe not a bad thing. The weather will be nice. Now, speaking of Brenton Ray, the Ray man, he's the newsman. I'm going to call him the newsman. He comes up with all sorts of, I know where he gets this information, but it is credible. Let me tell you this. And firstly, he's saying the Oakley Cannons Preston Lions rescheduled round 5 tie is live streamed tomorrow night by Football Victoria. There you go. We're still hoping that there may be news on the North Geelong Avondale FC game. My tip is that also possibly could be live streamed last minute, but we shall wait and see. But Brenton Ray also has quoted an article there by Vince Rugari, Sydney Morning Herald, and The Age, and he is saying 50% capacity, 15,000 Amy Park, and there is an article there. It's in the comment section, so good old Brenton has got a link there. Haven't read the article, haven't seen it, so definitely go onto that article, have a look. Gee, so much information. Wow. Goodness me, I think we're going to have to take a little bit of a breather. I think, Steve, when we come back, we're going to go through all of the leagues, and there's so much to get through. We're going to have to do it in 2 sections, but we'll go through firstly the NPL and the men's state leagues. The local men's competition will have a little bit of a break when we're going to bring our very, very special guests on. Then after that, we'll look at the women's division matches, the local league, and also the metropolitan. So, folks, don't go away. Do stay with us. It's episode 65. It's a huge show tonight. It's going to be massive. Whatever you do, don't go away. Come back shortly after this break. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 65 indeed. And you saw that little advert there. Become a member. It is so important you become a member. We really, really need you to become members. It's been a tough year for everyone. And when we're unable to get sponsors, it's because of our valuable members that we're able to run this show. And this week is a great example. We don't have sponsors. We need sponsors, folks. If you've got a business and you need to offload some money now at the end of the financial year, fast approaching, do get in touch with us. But there's where you can become a member, show your support, become a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And there's the website, www.patreon.com/ Geelong Region Soccer Show. One of our members is, in fact, Leonie Smith, and she so happens to be the coach of the Armstrong United senior women's team. We'll be hearing from that team a little later on in the program when we cover the women's results played over the weekend, and a huge achievement with the Armstrong United women's team, Steve. But let's now turn our attention firstly to NPL 2 and NPL 3. Tell us what went down on the weekend.
Yeah, well, Craig Filer and I were fortunate enough to be there in person as the match went on behind closed doors at John Cain Memorial Park. Northcote City hosting North Geelong Warriors. The match finished 1-1. Both sets of players hadn't had a match for 28 days, so they had to feel each other out a little bit in the early stages, and then eventually Michael Anderson was completely unmarked in the 81st minute, as you'll see in these pictures at the back post at the left of screen there, as North Geelong took the lead before they conceded a late goal in injury time to a 10-man Northcote City side with the substitute there, Noah Mihalides, slotting in from about 12 yards to level the scoring. It was an entertaining match, but definitely a weird feeling without anyone else there apart from us. And you can see the footage here. This will be Michael Anderson scoring there from close range there. You can see him there. He lost his marker, scoring home from 6 yards there. Players are almost too tired to celebrate at this point in the game. So hopefully they've got some legs left for, you can see there's pretty forlorn looks, but jubilant at the time at least. And hopefully they've got some legs to go again tomorrow night against Avondale. Because it was a heavy pitch as well. It was quite sodden underfoot. So
unfortunately for Geelong, for Geelong football, I think there was about 3 or 4 teams that all conceded late minute goal, minute goals or late goals. So we'll go through some of that a little bit later. But look at that. Look at the whoever did the graphics, Naught and Naught.
There was a bit of banter about that online, as I think I saw
Northcote
Craig Moore
North
from the assistant coach at Altona Magic said it's 0-0 between Naught and Naught at one stage in the game.
Oh, that's brilliant. Let's take a quick look at the ladder there. And there we go. It's so that's after the conclusion of round 10. Kingston, there's still a few games obviously to be played. Moreland Zebras, Moreland City, Pascoe Vale and Brunswick City all have a game in hand. I do believe that one of the games actually was washed out on Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it might be the I can't remember now. Who was it?
I'll just see if I can find that for you quickly now.
Yeah, it was Moreland Zebras and Brunswick City. That was the game that was washed out in Melbourne, or must have been a waterlogged pitch, because that was to be played at CB Smith Reserve on the Friday night.
Yeah, washed out. That is confirmed, yeah.
And Moreland City and Pascoe Vale, at the time of going to press, that still hadn't been updated. So whether that game was played or not played, we don't really know.
I actually went past Campbell Reserve and I saw that on my way home, and I saw that match was had been going on. So there will be a score from that one. So I'm not sure why it hasn't been entered into the system. But yeah, that match will have gone ahead.
Shame. We need to know the results when we go to air. But anyway, North Geelong Warriors, they picked up the point there, but they should have picked up 3 points. They are now in 9th position, and interestingly, they take on the Moreland Zebras this weekend. So that will be a big game at Elko Park, Steve. That's at 3:00. This kickoff on Saturday.
Yep.
So 3:00 game.
Yeah. Busy return to football. Yeah.
Yeah. A 6-pointer, basically, that's what they say. They call it a 6-pointer. And remembering, Moreland Zebras have got a game in hand. So if the Warriors want to start moving up the ladder and away from that dreaded relegation zone, they're going to have to start picking up some of these points and really moving along. There we go. Brenton Ray says Pascoe Vale won 1-0 and they go second on the table.
So I'm looking at Moreland City's Facebook and I see they haven't posted the result. Now I know why.
There you go. There's a good enough reason why.
Now, Vales.
Yeah. Now, speaking of last-minute result or goals being conceded late in the game, the same thing happened to the Red and Blacks from Geelong Soccer Club in NPL 3.
It did. Geelong went up and played in a match behind closed doors at Larissa Reserve against North Sunshine Eagles, and they had to come from behind, and they did that with goals from Anthony Trashkowski and Alan Guerres. But unfortunately, it was the hosts who fought back and scored a last-minute winner to win that one, 3-2. And you can see how the table finishes up there with Geelong in 7th place on 14 points, the 4 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses.
Yeah, and now it's going to be a case of like, Geelong have had a kind of, we won't say an average season, but that's what results would suggest. But they've had a few games where they've lost it at the death, or they've were in a position where they were seemingly headed for a win and then conceded towards the end. So that must be something that's quite a worry for the Geelong Soccer Club Brains Trust. But look, it also tells me that they probably should be. They should have earned a lot more than just 14 points. But having said that, they're safe there in that mid-table position. But in the second half of the season, they're really going to need to knuckle down, I think, and really focus on the entire 90 minutes if they are going to start getting those results that they are desiring, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. And it doesn't help they've got a tough opponent this weekend where Doveton will travel to Stead Park. So I don't know, perhaps at least Geelong can have a home crowd turn up, as they did at that function for the North Macedonian national team. Then we saw Dave Davutovic and Optus Sports there the other night. Perhaps we can get a good crowd there to support Geelong, and they can maybe cause an upset against Doveton. But yeah, Doveton going along pretty well, be a difficult opponent. That's this Saturday at 5:30.
Saturday, 5:30 at Stead Park. So a must-win game against Doveton. Tough game because Doveton, as you said, are in 3rd spot now. So it's going to be a key game for them, and they cannot afford to drop any more points than they already have. As we said, if they want to start, moving towards the top part of the ladder. Now, another team that copped a late equaliser, if you like. And this one was in the 91st minute, was Corio Soccer Club. They played Altona City. Now, 86th minute strike by the mercurial Vedran Stojanovic gave Corio a 1-0 lead, and things were seemingly headed for a very, very important 3 points, a win at home, and then the unthinkable happened, Steve.
Yeah, that's right. After taking the lead there and thinking they had the winner, and everyone was excited, I think, there at Union Reserve, including our man Santino Mamone. And then next minute, of course, Altona City spoiled the party and get a share of the points and take a 1-1 draw. And you can see the table there where it leaves Corio in 10th place on, what does that leave them on? Just the 9 points.
9 points, yeah. So
after 10 matches.
Not exactly what they wanted. They could have quite easily been on 11 points at that stage.
Yeah.
On equal amount of points, it probably would have been right exactly like Keilor Park is now. They would have had 12 goals for, 18 goals against. They would have been on 11 points with the goal difference of -6. So them and Keilor Park would have been in exactly the same situation. Now, this week, Corio hit the road and they come up against Clifton Hill. Clifton Hill are 6th. Only 4 points ahead of Corio. Now, that game's going to be played at Quarries Park there in Clifton Hill. Off the top of my head, Steve, I can't remember how they went earlier in the year. I think they did quite well against Clifton Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it's a real memory tester there. I have to go back to the round 2 results and check that one, mate. I'm sure. I reckon Santino will know the answer to that one.
I'm sure he will. Santino, you're listening in. Tell us, how did Corio go against Clifton Hill earlier in the year? I'm sure he'll tell us there. But Caroline Springs George Cross at the top of the competition. Vedran Stojanovic, the man himself, he says 1-3-2. Thank you, Vedran. So there you go. Clifton Hill was beaten by Corio 3-2. That was at home. Now Mario Gregorio saying we won 2-1.
I got the official sports TG here at 2-1.
2-1. There you go. It was 2-1. Well, Vedran got it half right. It was a win. And Mario Gregorio, the Corio president, confirmed that as a 2-1 win at home. Now, George Cross, they suffered their first loss of the season, going down 1-0, I think, to Sydenham Park, away to Sydenham Park. So interesting there. That makes it very, very interesting at the top with Caroline Springs and Brimbank Stallions now on equal points. But there is a 5-point gap there between those two and Essendon Royals and Yarraville and indeed Sydenham Park. So it's not all done and dusted at the top of State League 1, that's for sure. But we're more concerned as what's happening at the other end of the table. The sooner Corio can get out of that dreaded relegation zone, the better. Now, let's move along to State 2. And yet another Geelong team that conceded not a last-minute goal on this occasion, but a late goal. Now, Rangers took on Moreland United, though, at home to Moreland United. Steve, now, the visitors took a 25th minute lead in the 25th minute. And then in the 42nd minute, young Nick Ballas equalised for 1-1. Edwin North scored his 4th goal of the season in the 58th minute to give the Rangers a 2-1 lead. Yep. And then in the 85th minute, it was Abdullahi who equalised for Moreland United. And that draw, unfortunately, against the bottom side, Moreland United, they weren't able to capitalise. It sees the Rangers now drop into second last spot. Not a good thing there. Not a good thing for the Rangers.
No, it wasn't the result they wanted there at home. I think they did a little bit better against Moreland last time they played them, when they played them away, than that, actually. But yeah, difficult time there at the moment up at Myers Reserve, but there's still plenty of time to turn it around and make sure that they're safe from the drop. I think. I think the youngsters will find a bit of rhythm in the second half of the season. Yeah,
let's hope so. I mean, Epping City, they were previously in 11th spot. They defeated Western Suburbs in 9th spot, who are in 9th spot, 1-0 at Duffy Street Reserve on Saturday. And as a result, they were able to leapfrog the Rangers, despite the fact that the Rangers did get a point. Hoppers Crossing went down to Westgate 3-1 on the Friday night to kick off proceedings. Albion Rovers defeated Hume United 2-1. So Hume United near the top there stuttered a little bit. Altona East Phoenix had their colours lowered to Lalor United 2-2. And I guess the big one, Kevin Thuma, who is often a regular listener of this show and of the Football Out West, he's the coach of Mill Park. They managed to hold league leaders FC Strathmore to a 1-1 draw at Strathnava Reserve. So not a small effort. That's a pretty big effort. So well done on Mill Park, mid-table side, holding the runaway league leaders to a draw there. So great stuff, Mill Park. And let's hope the Rangers can also do very, very well in the latter half of the year and get out of that dreaded relegation zone, Steve.
That's right, mate. That's exactly right. We'll be watching the events unfolding very closely. So shall we move on now to State League 4 results?
Absolutely. We'll pop the ladder up there. And what happened in State 4? Don't tell me. Another late...
Well, there was goals galore in State 4. Melbourne City 3, Bell Park 3, up there at Spotswood, with Nick Nugent scoring a hat-trick for the All Whites there. So a fair display in front of goal there by Nick to get them a share of the points. Surf Coast weren't so lucky. They went down 4-3 to Laverton up there at Laverton. Goals from Brod von Brandstein on 13 minutes, Matt Zilovec on 75 minutes, and another goal to Matt Humphreys wasn't quite enough. And Surf Coast lost the services for the rest of the season of midfielder Nathan Munoz this week, who's pulled the pin on the season. He's not going to be playing again. So they're another player down there. They've lost a few during the season.
Good Lord. Is that an injury there with Nathan Munoz, or is just work commitments, or just had enough?
Yeah, other commitments stepping in there. Now, Golden Plains, they found the back of the net twice, but they still went down, going down 3-2 up at Princess Park against Melbourne University. Goals from Emmanuel Bayer and Temi Akusi weren't quite enough for the Eagles to take a point on their trip up to Melbourne. So, yeah, Bell Park was the only side in State 4 getting a point for our region there.
Yeah, not a good thing. Laverton, the Surf Coast almost had Laverton, and look, as you said, they conceded in the 85th minute, and at half time the score was in fact 2-1 to Surf Coast. So they could have done everyone in the league a favour if they had have held on to that 2-1 result, but it wasn't to be, and Laverton ground out a very hard fought win. At one stage, they certainly looked like they were really going to run away with it, but Westside strikers Caroline Springs have closed that gap to just 1 point. But look at the goal difference as well. Look at the difference in the goal difference. The strikers really have got a far superior goal difference. So one stumble, if you like, by Laverton, and Caroline Springs will be really ready to jump in there. Gisborne and Melbourne Uni aren't that far away. But look, Bell Park, look, they're 5 points away. And all they need is a series of good results to go their way, and you just don't know. It could end up we could see Bell Park once again in the mix. Now this weekend they travel to Arndale Park Reserve down at Truganina, and they're going to take on the Truganina Hornets. Always a good game when these two sides meet. Truganina have been struggling a little bit this year, so they're in 9th position. Only 2 wins and 2 draws from their 10 games. So the All Whites will be looking to bounce back amongst the winners. Surf Coast taking on Golden Plains at Banyulwarri Reserve. If you're a betting man, you'd put the house on Surf Coast because Golden Plains have been really, really disappointing this year. Only 1 win and 9 losses from their 10 games. So Surf Coast, I think, will be buoyed by the weekend's performance, where they really had the league leaders by the throat for most of the game, and I think they'll be very, very keen to bounce back and take those 3 points and start their very slow but sure ascent further up the competition standings there in State 4. Steve,
very good. So should we move on to State 5 now, where there was also
last but not least
4 games involving clubs from our region, and we've got Surfside Waves. They hosted the top of the table Keilor Wolves, and they weren't able to dent those title hopes of Keilor Wolves with the Green Gully Reserve base side picking up 3 points and a 4-0 win at Shell Road Reserve. Barwon was on the right end, though, of a 4-0 scoreline as they defeated West Point at Grovedale Reserve. 4 goals to Oakley Balboni, so a huge goal-scoring performance there by Oakley, and I believe his preferred foot has its own Instagram page as well. He's a cult figure there down at Grovedale Reserve. Now, Deakin Uni, they've had a pretty good season so far, and a result that I didn't perhaps see coming, although Melton Phoenix have been pretty strong, was a 3-1 win to the Phoenix in their clash up at Melton, with Laszlo Henry being the only goal scorer for Deakin Uni, while it was better news for Lara United, who went to Maribyrnong Greens and had a 3-0 win despite finishing with 10 men, 2 goals to Sam Volpe and 1 to Joel Matouche, seeing the Lara side come home with 3 points and all smiles.
Well, that's an interesting division. Keilor Wolves are the runaway competition leaders at the moment. Now, it's a tough division, that one, to get out of. It really, really is. And when you've got a team like Keilor Wolves that are clearly dominating, it's going to be a hard division to get out of. And look, never say never. All it takes is a few injuries, a bad run of form, and what you're not. But anything. Look, once again, it's one of those things. Anything can happen. But you'd like to think that it's we haven't even got to the halfway mark of the season properly. That there is still hope for the rest of the competition. But this weekend, Friday night, Vladimir Zetovic, who is one of our members of the show, he's Melton Vladimir. Phoenix. He's club, the Melton Phoenix, are hosting the Keilor Wolves in a Friday night blockbuster at McPherson Park. So, Vladimir, good luck to Melton. Hopefully, the Melton can knock off Keilor Wolves, and if they can do that, that'll be absolutely fantastic, because what that will mean is then we'll be in a situation where, it might open up the competition there. Barwon will be hosting Ballarat Soccer Club. Ballarat, who've 2 wins, 3 draws and 5 losses from their 10 games this year.
Yep.
Barwon, 7 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses, especially at their Grovedale Reserve Fortress. They'd be looking to get those 3 points. So Barwon will be hoping that Melton Phoenix can do them a favour as well as themselves a favour and knock over Keele or Wolves, because I believe the only time they've dropped points, Keele or Wolves, was against Deakin Ducks, I think before the lockdown, was it not, Steve?
Yeah, I was just looking at that table and just I was racking my brain as to which fixture that was in. That might have been it.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it was actually. So it would be good now for the Wolves to suffer their first loss for the sake of the rest of the competition and indeed for the sake of the Geelong League. Now, speaking of the Geelong League, let's move along now to the local competition. And we'll look at the standings, and we are going to look at Division A. So this is the local Geelong region competition. Now, we had several games played there. Now, I think the first game was, in fact, played last Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a game down at Elko Park, which saw Elko Park Cardinals take on Armstrong United. Friday night blockbuster. It was an absolute fantastic result for the visitors, for the Pelicans, and that was a 2-0 win to Armstrong United over the very difficult Elko Park Cardinals on the Cardinals' home patch. So that was Friday night, and that kick-started the proceedings. And there were a few other Friday night games as well, Steve, in Division 1 of the men's.
Yeah, there was, and we'll just run through those quickly with FC Leopold. They're hosting games under lights there now as well out at Estuary Reserve, so that's good to see as well. They had a super-duper high scorer. They defeated Surf Coast 6-3, so goals are plenty there at that particular fixture. While kicking off a little later on Friday night at 8:30, it was another high scorer, Barwon 6, defeating Drysdale 2 there. And the only match that took place on Sunday was at Evans Reserve in Nor Lane, and it was Corio Bay going down 6-0 to that very strong Bell Park side.
Yeah, Geelong Rangers had the bye, but Barwon are just invincible at the moment. They are just unstoppable. They really, really are doing a ripping job at the top there. 5 wins and 1 draw. And it's interesting, if you go through some of the other lower divisions, I think Division 2 of the men's competition, Barwon are also the top of that division as well.
They're on top by 5 points from Cryo in second in Div 2 in the men. So they're just flying. They're doing a number on the competition all over the place. Yeah,
absolutely. So they've got a lot of depth there, that's for sure, a lot of quality depth. So if the State League men aren't performing at senior level, they've got a lot of players in the lower league competitions or lower ranked teams, if you like, that could be knocking on the door. So Dale Harris there, the head coach of the senior men's team, I'm sure he casts an eye on the Sunday League sides and has a look at some of the talent on show. Let's turn our attention now to round 10, Steve, as our guests are amassing in the what do you call it?
It's getting busy in the green room.
It is getting busy in the green room. So as they're getting ready to make an appearance in tonight's show, let's focus on this weekend coming in the men's Division 1 competition. It's round 10, Steve.
Round 10, absolutely. And we'll get through these quickly. Elko Park Cardinals, they're hosting Geelong Rangers. That is Friday at 6:30 at Elko Park. On Sunday at 3 o'clock, it is Armstrong United versus Bell Park at Armstrong Creek Sporting Precinct. And same time on Sunday, Corio Bay, they are hosting Drysdale at Evans Reserve. While also at 3 o'clock on Sunday, Barwon, they're hosting Surf Coast in a bit of a grudge match at Grovedale Reserve, while FC Leopold will be able to put their feet up for the weekend.
Oh, excellent stuff there. There you go. Pick of the what's the pick of the games there, Steve? Which one do you like most?
Don't mind the rivalry between Barwon and Surf Coast, and given that they're in, what are they in, first and third? That's my game of the round.
Oh, I think so.
Would you agree, or would you beg to differ?
Mate, no, I tend to agree with you there. I'd actually say I was looking at that fixture, thought, yep, absolutely. But although I tell you what, Armstrong United and Bell Park at Pelican Park, that could be an interesting one as well. Armstrong United will be absolutely buoyed by their victory over Elko Park Cardinals on the weekend. And I'll tell you what, they may give second place Bell Park a good run for their money. But no, or putting that aside, definitely the Barwon Surf Coast game at Grovedale Reserve on Sunday at 3 p.m. That's going to be the pick of the bunch. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back with our very, very special guests tonight. Welcome back indeed to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It is episode 65, and it is all about our next guest tonight. And he's about to join us. He's ready to join us, I think. Hopefully, he'll be joining us as we'd like to welcome Simon Blanche. Simon, are you there? Hello, Simon. We can't seem to get a hold of Simon.
Looking awfully dark in Simon's window there at the moment, which is it's a shame because we love having a chat with Blanchy when he's able to come on to the show. I wonder if we can just tinker with anything and get him to.
Hello, Simon. You there? Well, hopefully, he's trying to get on. He's trying to get on. There's no doubt about that. Here we go. Hopefully, he is there with us and. It's a very, very big warm welcome to Simon, who joins us now. Simon, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties there.
Happens to the best of us, mate.
I was watching it, following it along, and it just disappeared and all stopped.
It can only happen to you, Blanche. Seriously, it won't happen to anyone else, but it'll happen to you. But great to have your smiling face on the show tonight, mate. It was a pleasure having you on the show several weeks ago when it was the Barwon Soccer Club themed episode. Let's quickly, before we talk about tonight's very, very important topic, how are things going with the Barwon Soccer Club senior women's team this year?
Oh, I'm pleased you asked. We happily sit top of the table.
We after we finish this little segment, we are going to be looking at the women's division, and we'll be looking at that in depth. But that was going to be our next thing that we're going to cover. So you must be a very pleased man with the way things have panned out early in the season.
Yeah, I think, like I said last time, I joined late, but the girls have actually sort of taken to what I'm trying to get them to do really well.
Yeah.
And it seems to be getting better each week. We've had a number of injuries, but the girls that have come in to replace them have just been fantastic. That want and desire is absolutely awesome in the group.
Fantastic, yeah. Now, Simon, you approached me late last week with a rather sad story, but it's also an uplifting story in many, many ways, about a young girl that you coached, and she's just been dealt a really, really cruel blow. It's an emotional story, and in many ways it's quite tragic, but it's rather uplifting. And very shortly we're going to have young Liana join us. But tell us about the background to this story.
So I first got to see Liana when she first came to play football with a group of sort of 3 friends. So there was 4 of them together that wanted to play football together. They had a laugh and a smile every week. It was never sort of too difficult. Liana was the type of player that, as a new player to the sport, never gave up on anything, was always willing to try, was always willing to do it with a smile. And as a coach, that's an absolute pleasure to have in your team. She never gave up on anything. She ran her backside off week in, week out. And it's something that you see someone enjoy that level of football. Just this sheer exhilaration, this massive smile on her face. It was such a pleasure to watch her play each week. I know it was difficult. I know that starting to sort of find a touch and starting to find different things in the actual sport. But she was coached by myself and Steve and Tonci at Drysdale. Then she moved over to Bellarine. And while she was playing at Bellarine, she's had this sort of niggle and an injury in her knee. And it was something that was hampering her quite often.
Yep. So this was roughly about 2019. Is that right?
Yeah, just before the season before COVID sort of ruined everything for everyone.
Yeah.
But still played out every week, still ran with a smile on her face, but had this constant niggle. So I went to see the physio, tried to get as much sort of work done on that to sort of help fix it. But the problem was it didn't go away. So Liana then, after COVID sort of kicked in, didn't play a great deal of football at all, and was expecting this sort of injury to sort of relax and sort of die down a bit. The problem was it didn't. So she actually went to get a second opinion, and that's when she found out she had a sort of very rare cancer in the knee. So as a 24-year-old, finding out you've got cancer is going to be hard enough as it is. But then having the chemotherapy and then finding out that it's not potentially working how you'd expect it to. And from the people that I've spoke to that know Liana, because there's 3 girls that play in my team now at Bowen that have played alongside Liana. They're absolutely devastated on her behalf. But I've said to them that they need to play the sport and play the game with the enthusiasm that she used to have for it. Because I'm sure if she could, she would. So it's something now that it's got to the point where, as a life-saving operation, she has to have amputation above the knee. Now, that's something that, as a footballer, I've said to a lot of people for a long time, because I'm still running around playing, you were a long time retired. And to have that sort of news as 24-year-old is devastating for anyone. But you'll find out soon when you speak to her. She has such a good attitude. She is such a trooper. Honestly, this is someone that is overwhelmed by the support of the people that have actually got involved, because there's a GoFundMe page that's out there, and I've put that link on my Facebook, and I'll share that to this later on in the chat. But it's something that's had an overwhelming response. One individual, an ex-team mate of hers, has put $5,000 in.
Wow.
Not everyone can afford to do that, but that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And it just shows from the 2 teams that she's played at, both Drysdale and Bellarine, the overwhelming support that she's received. And you know what? It's blown her away, but she takes it all at such a stride. She's such a fantastic girl. And I think she's still taking this with a smile on her face. I contacted her today to come onto the show, and she was actually in hospital when I contacted her. She wasn't sure to start with, but I think she's got the right attitude and the right idea, because she's a trained nurse, to actually put the right message across, to get people to understand that you need to look after yourself, you need to go and get yourself checked out, and that there's obviously life outside of football, but she can do it with such a smile on her face. She's such a strong-willed person.
Amazing! It is an amazing tale. There at the bottom of the screen is that the GoFundMe page, the address there. We've got it in the comments section as well. We've got a major announcement a little later on. We've got someone in the green room who is going to also give a rather big boost to the campaign. But in the meantime, we've actually got young Liana Whitehand on the line. Direct from her hospital bed, mind you. This young lass, I spoke to her earlier today. My heart's beating at the moment 100 miles an hour, because I'm just in awe of how she's going about taking this. And Liana, are you there? Have we got you on the line?
Yes, hello.
How are you, Liana? It's an absolute honour. Let me just say, an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I think this is one of the you're probably one of, in my opinion, one of the biggest guests that we've ever had. But let's start from the start. Like, how did this all come about? Well, first of all, how did you get involved with playing football?
It's when I was around 19. I just
can't
felt
hear
like.
Liana.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, I can hear you. Oh, we've got a problem there.
Well, you carry on, Liana. I'll just.
Can you hear us, Steve?
Comments. I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How I got into football is that just when I was 19, I just felt like doing like a team sport, felt like to do something just to get me running out and about. So I just saw a Facebook ad about joining Drysdale Soccer Club. So I contacted the Facebook page and asked if I could go down and see a training session. And yeah, I went down and did that, and then I kept coming back.
I could then.
There you go. Simon
good.
can hear
Very
you.
good.
That's great.
Whatever the trick was, that was excellent. Now
Yeah,
we can
absolutely.
hear.
Liana, let's talk about maybe some of what remains as those memorable moments playing at Drysdale under Simon. What sort of a coach was he? Was he a good coach? Was he a bad coach? Was he an evil coach?
No, Simon was a good coach. He was patient with me.
She's gone again.
No, we can hear you. Keep talking.
He was like a very good coach. Like he was very patient with me. I hadn't played soccer before at all, but he was gave the patience to teach me just foot touches and just the simple stuff like that.
Yep. And Liana, what about some of the friendships you made with your teammates at those two clubs you played at, Drysdale and the Bellarine Sharks?
Yeah, I've definitely made some friends that I still continue talking to, even not playing soccer. So that's always a good thing to, gain from playing a team sport.
Oh, you there? Have we lost you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can still hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Liana, I mean, then you moved on to the Bellarine Sharks, and that was in 2019, and then COVID stopped everything. And then tell us how did it eventuate? How did it go about that you then realised that something wasn't right?
So in 2019 I had a bit of a niggle, but it didn't bother me too much. I could still run around, bend down, do whatever I needed to do. It wasn't till 2020 when I realized it was getting a bit worse. I was having trouble bending down and getting back up. I was having a bit of a hard time sleeping. To the physio for 6 months, doing exercises, doing everything they told me to do, and I still wasn't noticing any improvement. So I got another opinion from a different physio. First session they told me to go get a scan, and then after that, that's just what got the ball rolling to just find out that I had a mass in my knee.
Yep. And the condition, we understand it's called osteosarcoma. Do you know how rare is this? It's not something I've heard of before.
Yeah, I don't know the statistics, but it is, it's a common cancer in young people from 10 to 30, but however, it is still very rare, in the majority of the population, and only 10 to 15 people across Victoria and Tasmania get diagnosed with it once a year.
Gosh. Now to boot, early this year, you finished a nursing degree. Your mum's a nurse as well, so nursing runs in the family. When you found out about all of this, what were the first things that sort of went through your mind? Did you put your nurse cap on, or did you put your Liana 24-year-old girl hat on? How did you? I know it's a harrowing question to ask, but how did you kind of I don't know, how did you come to terms with this diagnosis?
At the start, I think had my nurse's cap on. I was kind of just okay, do some chemo. And at the start, they told me, oh, well, it looks like from the scans we'll try and do a limb salvage, that, do a total knee replacement or something like that. So, I was quite hopeful, chemo, surgery, some more chemo after surgery, and then, it's just a year of my life and I'll be able to move on. But unfortunately, the chemo wasn't doing its job, and I've had to have an above-knee amputation. And I think that's when 24 Liana came out, obviously, when I got that diagnosis. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I just have to keep moving forward and take it day by day.
What is the next step? Is it a prosthetic? Is a prosthetic leg? Will you have to kind of learn to walk with it? What happens now?
So I have to continue actually doing a little bit more chemo after I heal a bit after the surgery. But yes, in the process will be getting fitted for a prosthesis and being able to walk again.
Yeah. And Liana, like, obviously this is something that you're not going to be able to go through on your own. Who are the people that you've lent on that have given you the best support and kept your spirits up during this time?
Like the support from like my family, my partner, and my friends has really been really overwhelming, and it's really what's helped me to kind of keep a positive attitude and to keep looking forward to what's going to happen in the future and not give up.
I know it's probably too early to say and too early to ask, and it might come across as a bit of a cold question, but I'm just trying to, I guess, because you're a very positive person. You seem to be like one of those looking at the situation half glass full. Is there an opportunity for you to stay involved in the game, maybe through coaching, all abilities football? Is that something that you've kind of thought about, or not that I expect you to, but is that something that's kind of weighed in your mind to stay involved with football in that kind of a way?
To be honest, that hadn't crossed my mind, but now that you've put it out there, like, it would be nice to, be involved with an all abilities football or something like that in the future once, I've sorted out my own
absolutely,
life.
Yeah. And we certainly hope that it is, everything from here on end just goes exactly the way you want it to go, because I've only met you today, and your attitude is just so incredibly inspirational, and I hope that your story is not only does it promote the awareness of osteosarcoma, but also promotes the importance of getting that second opinion, and if something's just not right, to go get it checked out, because I know people have been talking about, like in this age of COVID, that people are more reluctant now to go see a doctor, more reluctant to go get treatment for something that they think that, I can just get by. But what would be your advice to people out there as far as their own personal health is concerned?
Yeah, I'd just say, if always get a second opinion, and if you you feel like something's wrong and you haven't really gotten the support or answer that you think's right, is to always get a second opinion. And especially with young people, like you just kind of go through life and you think it's not going to happen to you, but you really don't know what could happen or what's happening in your body.
Yeah. Steve, any last questions for our guest?
And I've just been really impressed, Liana, by the positivity in your voice, and I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers have felt the same way as well. Can we expect to see you going on and having a successful career in the medical field after you've already completed your nursing degree? You're obviously very passionate about the health science side of things. Is that something that we can look forward to seeing Liana doing in the future?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely something in health, like definitely trying to help, the people who have helped me.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll do exceptionally well at it as well, Tonci. I'm sure he will agree as well.
Absolutely. Liana, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. It takes an almighty amount of courage, and mind you, from your hospital bed, we really, really appreciate you, and appreciate you spreading that message of the importance of looking after your health. Thank you so much. But I know the late Bill Shankly, didn't he? He used to say, what was his comment about life being not a matter of life or death? It's more important than that. But I tell you what, sometimes he can be wrong, because your health is absolutely the most important thing in your life. So once again, Liana, wishing you all the very, very best. We look forward to maybe even hearing from you down the track, and just following your progress as well. But in the meantime, stay strong. You're an absolute inspiration, I think, to me, to all of us here, and indeed everyone tuning into the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
No, awesome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. It's our absolute pleasure, Liana. Thank you very much.
That was Liana Whitehand. What an amazing girl. What an amazing story. Blanchy, I know you're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Were you able to catch most of that conversation?
I'm going to rewatch it. I didn't get a bit of it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you'll be able to. And certainly, thank goodness we've got the power of the replays. But we've got a very, very, very special guest, a man who's very well known to the local football community down here, and through his role at Western United, he's even more well renowned. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the show Pete Bradley, who is in his role as there's Pete in his role as the community manager. Is that right, Pete? What's exactly your title?
Look, community managers. That's fine. That's good.
Yeah. Now, Pete, after it was announced that tonight we were going to have a show dedicated to Liana Whitehand and her plight, which Simon has been so fantastic, Simon. Really, really thank you for bringing this to our attention. You contacted me before the show started and said you wanted to get involved and you wanted to help. So, mate, microphone is yours. Over to you, Pete.
Well, thanks, Tonci. Look, it's certainly not about us or about Western United, but first thing, thank you for Blanchy for, I guess, getting in touch with you guys and raising the awareness of Liana's story. It's a touching story, inspirational story, and look, we, on behalf of everybody, myself and everybody at Western, we wish her all the best. And it's just a little thing we can do, but we want to really kickstart, if we can, the GoFundMe collection, if we can. And on behalf of the club, we'd like to donate a signed shirt, which can be a silent auction to just raise a little money to help Liana on a journey. And that's all we can say, really. It's just wish her all the best, and it's a small token, but look, every little bit helps, and we're happy to do that. So
awesome. Thank you, Pete.
Fantastic news, Pete. So we're going to do a bit of we've got to hold it up here. We're going to have a bit of an auction system taking place, Tonci.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, folks, there's an away shirt signed by the senior Western United team, and that is up for grabs. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a silent auction via our Facebook page. So it's the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page. We can kickstart that with a comment in the comment section if anyone wants to kickstart that off. And it's going to be a silent auction, a little bit of a silent auction. Up until Wednesday, 10 p.m., we will be constantly announcing who is leading, who's the leading and who's given the most as well. And then at 10 o'clock Wednesday night, we're going to take that off the air, and then we're going to be making a live announcement on Thursday, 12 noon, who the lucky recipient of that shirt is, the Western United shirt. And then we would ask that person to pop that pledge in the GoFundMe campaign. And then once they've done that, we'll get in touch with Pete, and they will then Pete and Western United will send that lucky recipient the lucky Western United top. So, folks, if you're tuning in now, please jump on board this very worthy cause. Lisa Brooks, the president of Geelong Rangers, says, time for the Geelong Soccer Region to band together and support one of our own. What a positive role model Liana is. And we'll be doing a lot of post-show promotion as well, Pete and Simon, and so that people will have an ample opportunity to be able to, have plenty of time to give their vote, to give their pledge as well. We certainly want to see as many people jumping on board and supporting this really, really worthwhile cause, because it's an absolutely fantastic cause. Now, Blanchy, I think the target for the GoFundMe page is was it 30,000 if I'm not mistaken?
Is correct, yeah, 30.
And where are we at the moment?
It was just past 22,000 earlier today when I had a look.
So about 3/4 of the way through.
There's been a fantastic response. So many players, so many people I recognise on there, just giving $50 if they can. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to ask for charity donations.
Oh, absolutely.
Donation to an unknown charity. There's no board taking a percentage of this. This is all going to a fantastic cause in Liana.
Yeah, there's the address, folks, www.gofundme.com/f/Lianas. dash cancer dash and dash amputation dash journey ? A lot to obviously take in there, but it will be in the comments section. It will also be a separate article, and we will be really pumping this until Thursday, 12 noon, when the announcement will be made. Let's hope that we can get, a huge figure. Look, I'm going to kickstart off. I'm going to kickstart with $100. So I'm going to pledge $100. Let's see, and I'm sure that there'll be other people as well that are going to give more than that. But I'm going to kickstart the appeal there. $100. Let's try and beat $100 if we can before the end of the show. Pete, once again, thank you so much, mate. On behalf of Liana and her family, on behalf of everyone that knows her and everyone that's started this GoFundMe page, thank you so much for your act of generosity.
No, thank you, Tonci. Well done, Blanchy. Again, hopefully a little bit of help can go a long way. And we'll look forward to supporting Liana on her journey, definitely.
Thank you very much, Pete. And I'd just like to say that I'm just going to double Tonci's. I'm going to put it to 200. There
you go. Well, straight away, I've been outvoted. So Blanchy, thank you very much for that. It's already started, and we certainly hope that we can get to a figure much higher than the $200 that Simon Blanche has pledged. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Blanchy.
That was Pete Bradley from Western United, and Simon Blanche also joining us. Mate, what an incredible show. Let's get straight into I think the women's competition now. Let's go, Steve. Let's look at the VPLW first of all. We haven't got much time, so we really are running out of time. But
let's hook into that one. So you were there yesterday as the Geelong Galaxy hosted South Yarra. They went down 3-0. It wasn't their day. They held the score, I think, at 0-0 for quite a while into that game before they conceded, and then it was I guess all one-way traffic there in that one. You can see that table there that leaves Galaxy in 7th place there. So that was almost a bit of a 6-point game, that one, with South Yarra getting the points there. South Yarra in 6th, Geelong Galaxy in 7th there, Tonci.
Yeah, look, for the better part of the game, look, it was a very injury-depleted Galaxy that took to the park yesterday. And for about, 70-odd minutes or so, they did really, really well. I thought that, they probably didn't look like they were going to win the game, to be brutally honest, but they certainly looked like they were going to give South Yarra a very good run for their money. And, they had Emily Sutcliffe out through injury, Claudia Kasha out through injury,
big losses.
Christy Mary, Maddie Rakic as well. 4 standard first-teamers, and it was, like I said, not up until the 70th minute. So I think Grace Kim scored for South Yarra. And then 2, you could only say they were amazing goals because they were. Katie Foster, her first goal was absolutely incredible. It was a set piece from about 30 metres out or so, and it just lobbed perfectly and dipped at the right time and just sailed over Galaxy keeper Vicky King's head into the goal. So that was 2-0 at when was it? About the 85th minute or something like that. And then she scored another goal just minutes later from a very acute angle, and I guess that was more of a mistake there by the keeper at the near post. But by that stage, the damage had already been done, and South Yarra came away with in the end, it was a convincing 3-0 win. And as a result, they've jumped now. That actually hasn't taken into account that result. So South Yarra are, in fact, now on 12 points. The Galaxy now remain in 7th position with 6 points. But I think the more worrying thing for Galaxy is their lack of depth. They've struggled all year. They've got their 15s playing up in the 17s. They've got a lot of 17s playing in the reserves. They're struggling. A lot of their players have been playing 2 games each week, and you could just see as the game wore on, they were very, very tired. Their heads were starting to drop. There's a real lack of confidence, I think, permeating around Stead Park at the moment. But look, hopefully some of those key players can come back and inject some life. But there was some very good moments of positivity, if you like. Josephine Lonsdale, the tall, well, I think she was playing more as a full-back or sometimes as a centre-back. I think they need to drift her more into a playmaker's role because she just had this confidence of tackling or taking players one-on-one on and getting past them. And she's a sort of player that's just is the type of she's the ideal architect of plays and should be the perfect playmaker in the center of the park. There's a lot of tenacity shown by the girls, but in the end they were just edged out by a classier South Yarra, a fitter South Yarra, and probably in the end a little bit more of a hungrier South Yarra as well. But hopefully we can see a change in fortunes, as of next week.
Yeah, definitely. But unfortunately, next week the fixture is against Whitehorse United, so they're sitting in second place there with 5 wins from their 7 games. So
tough game though.
Very tough game, and I think that's the game that I actually called the corresponding fixture last time. And Whitehorse were pretty. They had a pretty star-studded team actually as well. Yes. So difficult opponent there, but hopefully the second half of the season brings some better fortune to the Galaxy because there's a lot of good endeavour there, and I think if they persist, things will turn around. Yeah.
Okay, let's move along to Women's State 2.
Yes, so Women's
Lara United.
State 2. Lara United enjoyed a 5-0 win over the Brunswick Zebras. Izzy Wilkinson and Sophie Razmara continued their scoring sprees that they've been on this season. Izzy with a hat-trick and Sophie with a double there. So a nice 3 points in the bag there. That puts them in third place according to that table there, but equal with Spring Hills, who had a game in hand according to that table there. So at the pointy end, at least, La Trobe University leading the way there in that division.
Yeah, look, Maribyrnong Swift Silvers, they will host our Lara United at Johnson Reserve on Sunday. That kicks off at 1 o'clock. So a big game between third and fourth. Although, having said that, Lara United are 6 points ahead of fourth place Maribyrnong, and they do have a game in hand. Quickly moving along to Women's State 3 before we tackle the local competition and we bring our special guest on. So, Steve, State 3, it was a 3-0 result for North Geelong, but it wasn't on the field, was it?
Yeah, that's right. They got the 3 points there and a 3-0 win without kicking a ball on Sunday. That match was scheduled to kick off at 5 p.m. Didn't get to go ahead. Westgate, they forfeited that one. So it sees North Geelong, they're continuing their perfect record of 7 from 7. Their goal difference sits now at plus 37.
Well done. And
leading Altona Magic and Avondale in second and third places, respectively.
Can't ask for more than that. Hey, 3 from 3. Some of the other results in that particular division, you had Altona Magic wallop North Melbourne Athletic 11-0. Avondale smashed Point Cook 13-0. And then Ballarat Soccer Club also had a 5-0 win over Caroline Springs George Cross. So some big results there. Next round sees North Geelong Warriors travel the short distance down to Saltwater Reserve in Point Cook to take on the hapless Point Cook, who got absolutely smashed in that previous, or just on the weekend just gone by. So you'd expect the Warriors to come back with their 8th win from 8 starts, but we'll see how that eventuates. But let's move along now to the women's division and the results that were held on the weekend as I put the ladder up, Steve.
Yeah, we'll just get those results on screen for you now. And we're going to, we've got a special guest waiting patiently still in the green room here. So those games that took place in the women's division on the week and starting on Friday night, it was Barwon 4-0 winners over Geelong. Deakin Ducks went down 2-0 to Armstrong United. It was Armstrong's maiden win in that competition. So congratulations to them. They've had to fight hard, and it's very good to see the reward and for their hard work paying off there. Surf Coast, they went down 1-0 to Deakin Ducks Black, while Drysdale had a 5-0 win over Corio Bay. And once again, Barwon Heads result against FC Leopold. Barwon Heads results been a theme. They're not been populated on the Sports TG by the time we want to see them
Come
on
on,
Monday evening.
Boneheads and FC Leopold, lift your game. We want to know the results. If anyone actually knows the result of that game between Boneheads and FC Leopold, let us know. Now, the two Geelong Rangers teams, the senior team or the A team and the development team, the reserves team, as well as North Geelong Warriors, they all had byes in round 9. Round 10 action this weekend, and it kicks off. All the games are in fact on Saturday. Kicks off at 1 o'clock with 4 games. Armstrong United hosting the development team from Geelong Rangers, so that's the B team. Surf Coast at home to Drysdale Soccer Club at Banyul Warrior Reserve. That's also at 1 p.m. Corio Bay hosting North Geelong Warriors at Evans Reserve, likewise at 1 p.m. And then finally, the last 1 p.m. game is Geelong Soccer Club taking on Boneheads. What are the other games, Steve, in Women's Division 1 competition?
Yeah, following on from there, we've got the Deakin Derby, Deakin Ducks Black versus Deakin Ducks Gold. And then that one followed by at 5 o'clock at Myers Reserve. It's the senior outfit for Geelong Rangers. They're hosting top of the table Barwon. That should be a beauty. And FC Leopold, they have the bye. Excellent.
And that brings us to the end of round 10. So hopefully we've got Sarah Sheldon on the line. Sarah, are you there? Can you hear us? Hello, Sarah.
No, it's looking fairly dark on the right-hand side there at the moment.
That's not a good thing.
Well, that did happen with Blanchy, so maybe we can maybe lightning will strike twice and we'll be able to get Sarah on screen.
Yeah, if Sarah can rejoin us, it would be fantastic if she can. Now, that
is a happy team there, isn't it?
That is a very happy team. So both goals were scored by Amy Lavelle in the 84th and 86th minute. But just the camaraderie that you can see, that's just absolutely incredible. It really, really is great to see. And so what we believe it was it was in fact their very, very first, I think it was their very first win ever. And that's amazing. And we do have Sarah on joining us now. Sarah, are you there? Oh, there she is. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Sarah.
This was sold to me as a non-video appearance, so.
Oh, was it?
Oh, false advertising. Well, Tonci will do that.
Well, we can't take you off there like that, and we can just hear you, Sarah. Actually, but all jokes aside, as we look at the ladder there. Fantastic, firstly, for joining us. But tell us, what was the mood like leading up to this game? During the game, when Amy Lavelle scored the first and then her second goal. Tell us how just the feeling on Saturday.
Well, it was very exciting, being our first win ever. So the girls are really excited on Saturday, which is wonderful to see. We've really worked quite hard to get there, so that was really nice to have for it all to come to fruition on Saturday.
And it's been a torrid start to the year, Sarah. Like obviously the competition, all one division, no grading or seeding or anything to make it a bit more even. How tough has it been getting to this point, and how much more rewarding did that make it, I guess?
I think for myself, I was a bit nervous going into a one division, but the girls, like you've probably heard from Lucas and Mike Parker and stuff, that the girls were super keen to get in there and get stuck into it, and it's starting to pay off, which is great.
And I guess that's a lot about the accepting the challenges head on, which the Armstrong United women's team did. But when you get these rewards such as this, it must just seem that all the more sweeter for having gone through all the troubles and then reaping the rewards in the end, Sarah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've been with the senior women at AUFC now since we started in 2018. So for me especially, it's quite nice to finally get a win under our belt, which is good.
Yeah, and you are also the secretary of the club. How long have you been on the committee for?
Since 2018.
Right, so it's 3 years now. Yeah. Steve.
Yeah, so you're a bit of an all-rounder there on the committee as well as in the team. What is your role on field? What sort of player is Sarah come match day?
Oh, 2021, she's a bit of a bench warmer. But I'm generally a defensive player.
Now, what we want to know is the coach there, Liana Smith. She's also one of the members of our Geelong Region Soccer Show, having signed on as a member. So we thank her very much. We wanted to get her on the show, but she doesn't like the limelight, Liana. Tell us, what's Liana like as a coach?
She's great. It's a breath of fresh air for the girls, having a new face around, which is good. Yeah. It's nice to have somebody else, a new face around, especially given the terrible year we had last year with COVID and the struggle we had getting the team back up. So,
yeah.
Very good, and we can see Leonie in the comments there. I think she's saying now you know why I declined to join. I think she means she didn't want to get her face on camera, perhaps. Yeah.
It's not that she doesn't like you, Sarah. She doesn't say I declined to join Sarah Sheldon. I think she said to join, Sarah Sheldon. I think that's what she was meaning. Yeah. But sorry, Steve, you're going to say.
And just looking at the squad there, looks like you've got a good mix of a few younger players there as well. You're one of the veterans these days, just about, Sarah, or are you still classing yourself in the middle of the pack there?
Oh, no, I'm closing in on retirement, I'd say. So we've got some fresh legs, which is definitely what we needed.
Yeah, very good. So it could be the start of a good, women's program there at the club with some junior girls teams to come into action in the coming years, feeding straight into that senior team. That'll be the aim of the club, no doubt. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully we get some junior teams up from our mini roos this year. So, and then, I guess moving into seniors and have something to look forward to as they progress through the club.
No, that's right. Something to have that ambition is an excellent thing at the local club, isn't it?
Now, regularly I chat to Mike Parker, the president there, and we've had him on the show. We've had a few of the other gentlemen as well on the show here, Dale Walker, Luke Sellis, etc. It's a growing club. It's a growing region, in fact, the entire Armstrong Creek area. And obviously there's a lot of families and players, potential players moving from outside, from outside the area coming to the area. Has there been a lot of interest or more interest in the last few months for players wanting to join? And have you sort of capped it for this season? And are you kind of having a waiting list for next season, or have you already started, basically attracting players for next season's campaign?
As in for our women's team?
Women's, juniors, overall, because we know there's something like 44 players for the men's team, which was an astounding number, and that's for two teams. So it was kind of too much for two teams, not enough for three. But what's the latest with regards to players? I think
we're still getting inquiries from men's players for the men's team, but obviously we've had to cap that now. With the women's team, we actually, the first few weeks, we possibly didn't have a bench. We know we had 11 players on the park and that was about it. But now we're actually up to 17 registered women, which is more than enough for the one team, which is great. And our mini roos are just exploding as well, as I'm sure you've probably heard from Lucas before.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve?
We have. Yeah, so the club looks like it's growing and growing, almost needs more space already there. But on that off-field side of thing, are you enjoying your role on the committee?
Yeah, it keeps me very busy.
Yeah, Sarah, I was going to ask you about that off-field stuff. Look, the last time we had someone from Armstrong United, there was a real, it was lamenting the state of the conditions of the pitch there. Has anything improved? Has council done anything to improve the surface at Pelican Park, or is it still in a bit of a, do we say diabolical state?
Still questionable, and unfortunately, our other oval, which is used by the football club, was vandalised over the weekend.
You're kidding.
So that's a bit disappointing for them. Obviously, we share that space with them. So,
what happened? What happened?
I think a car got onto the pitch and ripped it up, which is, unfortunate and not the sort of thing we want to happen at any club. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
disappointing. Now, speaking of fields and surfaces, getting that maiden win on the synthetic field, perhaps the girls enjoy playing on that surface. Maybe that's something we could push to have installed down at Armstrong United there, a synthetic soccer pitch.
Maybe it does hurt a little bit more when you hit the ground.
It does,
so
yeah.
maybe not. We do have a couple of fallers in our team, so we may steer clear of that one.
I tell you, every time I've been to Banyule Warrior Reserve and I've seen a game played there, senior game on the synthetic pitch, there's always been someone who's ended up banging their head on that surface. Not a good thing.
Yeah,
but
it's not nice.
No, not nice, not pleasant at all. Sarah, thank you very much for joining us at such short notice. We really, really do appreciate it. Apologies for Mike. He must have tricked you into saying that it was only going to be an audio link up. Or maybe I mentioned it to him. I don't know. I can't remember. But either way, thank you very much for joining us. Wishing you personally all the very best in your role as secretary at the Pelicans, and we certainly wish the women there and the club as a whole as well. Really, really have a soft spot for the Armstrong United Pelicans.
Thanks, guys.
Good on you.
Thanks, Sarah.
That was Sarah Sheldon from the Armstrong United Football Club. She is, in fact, the secretary there as well. And now we've got some late news. Brenton Ray, mate, the breaking news king he is, he's come across, and guess what? Steve, you were right. It says, FFA Cup, happy to announce with no crowds available for Victorian midweek FFA Cup ties with Football Victoria will be streaming all the games this week. Source, Chris Gleeson via Twitter. So there you go. Well, okay.
Yeah, interesting.
Interesting
news there. Anyway, on another note, would it be a good time to say I'd like to, if it hasn't already been raised, can we raise that bid to 250? I'll try and cut off Blanchy there and take it up to $250.
$250. So we've gone from 100 to 200 to 250. So do support that. That's a big thing. Well done, Steve. You currently hold the mantle of the person with the highest pledge at the moment for that Western United away shirt. Now, just to recap, at 12 o'clock on Thursday, we will be publicly announcing on the Geelong Region Soccer Show Soccer News Facebook page the winner of that. The winner is obliged to then obviously put that money into the GoFundMe page or the GoFundMe campaign. There it is. It's down below there. The address is there on your screen, and we will be publicly showing displaying the winner until Wednesday night 10 p.m. when we will then take that off the screen or take that off. That'll be pegged to the top, as what they call it, the highest posted. And then that's going to be at 10 p.m. withdrawn, so that you won't know. You'll have to then private message us and provide some. And that's the best way how you could do it. Private message us, and then your bid will not get lost. So it's a very good cause. We're asking you all to support that GoFundMe campaign. Money doesn't go to us, so please don't give us the money. Don't send any checks or your credit card numbers to us. Do so by giving money to the GoFundMe page there and help 24-year-old Liana Whitehand in her battle against cancer. A rare form of cancer called osteosarcoma. Stephen, I must admit I haven't heard of that either before. So, it's
likewise, mate. Yeah.
A tragedy, but in the face of tragedy, a real story of inspiration and never say die attitude. It's an incredible story, and it was an absolute honor and pleasure having Liana on the show tonight.
That's right, mate. And can I just the most positive person I've spoken to this week, indeed. So not letting things get her down. She's definitely an inspirational young lady.
Yeah, fantastic. Mate, all the very, very best. We're going to leave you with a few photos of Liana Whitehand and also that link as well. So, mate, thank you very much for everything this week. I look forward to having your company next Monday night on the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
looking forward to it, mate, and thanking you also. And thanks to everyone who's tuned in and contributed to our show tonight. We appreciate it. And we look forward to going forward and doing that in the future.
Good night, all. And thank you for joining us on tonight's show. Good night.